I'm a strong, strong person who believes in that. I
But
forgive
what
you, and I don't hold it against you.
no
The
grudges, right?
process is gone, so I don't hold you against you. It's just learning, right? You learn. So you learn from what the past has taught you. So if someone has done something that has wronged me, that has got me to get into a position where I had to deeply think about my feelings towards that person, in that learning process, I'm learning to not let it happen again. So
Mhm.
you can't forget. It's hard to forget what some when someone has hurt your heart,
Feeling.
your whole soul, your whole being as a person, because it's you. It affects you. It's not affecting that person. That person deals with it their own way, but your own understanding of whatever happened in the situation. I can't forget you that you did that to me, but I can forgive you because it's something that I've worked on to move on forward, but I can never forget it. And it's not that I won't see you out in the street and help you. That's part
Well,
of
when you
forgiving.
say I never forget it, doesn't that kind of a little bit imply like, oh, I didn't forget what you did. Do you remember what you did before?
No,
So
that
is that
doesn't
really
imply that I'm gonna
forgiveness?
go up to you and say, "Hey, do you remember? Do you remember?" No.
Yeah.
It's a self-knowledge, it's a self-growth, and things trigger you all the time anyways, in our lives. So it's my mind will never be able to forget it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's in there. It's the way of moving towards to the right places where I'm not feeling
Mm.
that hurt anymore, that I could actually be around people or a situation that is uncomfortable for me. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember there were times where I couldn't forgive and forget. I'm like, hell no, I don't want to be in the same room. It's not happening. You know what I'm saying? I remember those times when I was younger, but I've grown from that because I've digested the situation, and now I've learned what happened. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like I'm never gonna forget what she did or he did or they did, but I already learned that I'm okay with the feeling, and I already threw that feeling away, and I'm moving forward. It's moving forward that's the key when someone does something or
Yeah.
anything happens. You got to keep moving forward.
Well, to speak for myself, I think when I really feel like I forgave someone, I let go. I forget. I seriously do forget because yes, what like you say, what triggered and you'll remember. But I'm like, wow, I really forgot that happened. I really forgot that person did what they did. So if when I truly forgive, I truly forget. But if and I never have that mentality, forgive and never I forgive you, but I don't forget. Like because I really do just forget. That's just how I work.
For me, okay, I can see both your points, but I also see it like I think I lean more towards the forgive but don't forget because in a sense I forget the feeling, right? So that letting go. Like
Yes.
I don't hold on to those feelings, but I don't forget because it happened, but I also don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
So I think to your point, Vanilla, like you say you forget about it. To me, it's more I don't think about it because yeah, I've moved
Because you
on from it.
forget
I don't
about it.
think about it. But even when like I see the person, like if somebody did me wrong or I hear of the person, I still don't think back.
Remember?
I
Yeah.
like it's not that I don't remember. I guess I put people in their place, if that makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Because back to that movie, sorry, but it really just kind of tied everything for me.
That's
I'm
good. That's
sorry.
good.
But because one of the characters said something that literally I said and I say all the time is just because you forgive someone doesn't mean you have to create a relationship with them. There's people that have done me wrong in my life and sometimes I feel like when I talk about a situation that was, wrong to me, some people feel like if you forget or if you move on now, that means that, oh, now you and that person can be BFFs or you guys can
Yeah.
go back to that relationship that you had or, start fresh and create a new relationship. Like for me is just because I forgave you or just because I'm past that situation doesn't mean I want you around.
Mhm.
Yeah, doesn't mean it's
It
okay.
doesn't, right. It doesn't mean that
Shit can
I'm
go
going
back to happening.
So if you forgive someone and you understand the situation that happened, is it the same? That's kind of I don't
I
know.
think when you understand what happened, you mean like when you understand what they did to you
Yeah, you understand the
or
situation that
why they did to
happened.
you.
Can Is it the same as forgiving and understanding? I think it's the same, but at this the outcome and the action afterward could be different from anyone.
Yeah,
So
because it
like
all depends
me
on
and
the type of
Nair was
person
saying,
you are, right?
yeah. So
I
like
think
we understand,
forgiveness
but
I think forgiveness can come easier than understanding.
yeah, that one's the hardest.
I think there's no forgiveness if there's no understanding.
Understanding. Yeah.
I don't agree though.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think once you understand the human experience, once you understand humans, like I mentioned before, that people make choices based on the life they've lived and what got there's
We do.
series
We
of
all do.
events that get us to the point that we get to. You
Hmm.
know, everyone experiences trauma, right?
Right.
On some level or another. It could be very minor, right? Throughout your life, you're going to experience trauma. People who commit horrible crimes, people who do bad things to other people, if you trace back, there had to have been traumatic experiences for them to get to that point. You may not know what those are, right?
Hmm.
But no one can just have this beautiful life and then decide to murder someone, for
Right.
instance.
I don't know unless it's some genetic crazy
But even
gene they possess.
our genes
There's traumas
change
in there.
based, yes.
Yeah, but that's
So,
deeper now. Let's stick
but
to forgiving and forgiveness.
right,
You
but if
get
you
deep, girl. You
I'm
get deep.
going deep because forgiveness does go deep,
It
girl. That's what
does.
I'm trying to
So
say.
yeah,
So
I
if
know
you have
definitely it goes deep, but so we don't really get any deeper with that whole trauma and the
but
genes
it's
and the
part of
spirituality.
it
We
though.
can still
Do you
really
think
think about
maybe
it.
it's the outside, the society kind of shapes people in terms of not shapes, but influences people when it comes to forgiving themselves? Like they can't forgive themselves because of how they look to the outside world
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
they
and
think
sometimes the outside world is like at you like, oh, you that's unforgivable. Like you can't. So because you hear people say that or the outside world, and you're like, really, I can't forgive myself because the society says that's unforgivable, right? Everyone is worthy of forgiveness because
everyone,
Every
yeah, and it's not because of the movie.
rapists,
It's not because of the
molesters,
movie. Everyone
murderers.
forgives forgiveness because if one person doesn't is not worthy of forgiving, then no one is. Then no
Yes,
one
that
truly
movie
is.
really put things into perspective for me, and that will be the part 2 to this conversation. Is I know we keep saying movie, 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 and we're not gonna say it here. We'll keep it like a teaser for part 2 of forgiveness. But yeah, that movie kind of makes you see that basically we're all God's children. If you're a spiritual person, then you have to believe that we are all God's children. But the thing is people say that all the time. We hear that all the time, right? But do we really know what that means? Do we really
But to
know
be
what
God's
to be
children,
God's children? And you might think that you're a child of God, but is a rapist a child of God?
of
And if
course.
that's God's child, then why would God make that person do that?
Naila is going deep into like deep
But
stuff.
but
Yeah, like I said, like
forgiveness is deep, girl.
everyone's worthy of forgiveness. It's hard. It's very hard. But yeah, everyone's worthy of forgiveness just because even Mother Nature, the universe is going to do what it has to do with
True.
who we are and what we are. So who are we, the little beings with, yes, great, powerful energy souls that we are and all that good stuff. But who are we to judge, maybe in a way, if that person's worthy of being forgiven?
Right.
Because humans make mistakes and we don't know what caused them to do what they did.
Right. It's important to understand that just because you choose to forgive someone that automatically like the anger and resentment is gone. Like no,
Mhm.
Yeah,
it takes
definitely.
time.
Okay.
Like time is a huge factor in getting to a point where you're quote unquote free of the anger because time really does heal in a sense. And I'm not saying 100% you rely on time to get over whatever you're dealing with. There's other work
Mm-mm.
that needs to go into that, but time distances you from the past. So as you're moving forward in life, things that have happened to you stay in your past. So time
Yeah,
does
so
help
your
with that.
action needs to be you need to be on that action of moving
Right.
forward, not
There's
stuck
other work.
in
Yeah, there's
that
other work you have
situation.
to do.
Exactly. So it all depends on that because this whole conversation, for some reason, because I knew it was coming up, has brought up old feelings of
Mm.
a good friend of mine. Literally, I went to bat for her, like me by myself in a room with bunch of girls, me backing her up, and then us falling apart like a couple of years afterwards. You know what I'm saying? I've forgiven her. I've moved on from the situation, but that situation still affects me at some point because that's what I came to realization. I'm like, I don't hate her. I wish her all of the best for her.
Mhm.
I do miss my childhood friend. You know what I'm saying? But I'm okay without her. And that's the part where I was like, oh shit. Like I really said it to myself. I'm okay without her. You know what I'm saying? For a long time, I hadn't said that to me. It was always a sore
Like
conversation
a
when it's brought
wound.
up. So what happened? So what happened? You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So and that always, but then I'm like, oh shit, I am okay
It's
without her.
perfect.
You
You
Yeah.
know what I'm
grew,
saying?
you learned, and you healed.
Do I see myself as a forgiving person? Is that what
I'm
you're
a very
asking?
forgiving person. I'm a very forgiving person. Like I can say that. Are you a little, very, not so much?
Forgiveness is a part of my life. Yes. But
Very forgiving.
what I say when I think of myself that I'm a forgiving person, I think when you call yourself a certain characteristics, you almost make it seem like it's easy for you to do that thing.
That's what I mean. Is it
It's
easy for
not.
you
I
to?
don't think it's easy
Oh,
because every situation is different. I mean,
well, for me it
certain
is.
things.
For me, it's easy.
Okay,
And
that's you.
sometimes I even ask myself, "But why? Like that? What
Right.
that person did
It's
deserves
bad.
bad karma." But I'm like, I
Yeah,
forgive
I asked
you.
myself too, why does she forgive so easily? But
There
I
you
get
go.
it,
See,
girl. I
Claudia
love
agrees
you
that I
for
forgive
it. You know what I'm
fast.
saying?
Yeah,
I
to
love you
me, I
for
don't.
it.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not very
I'm
forgiving person, but I do forgive, but I'm not a very
Yeah,
forgiving person.
we have to
me.
forgive to move on. But
Yeah.
you're
I think
either
ult
I am a forgiving person.
I think I am forgiving, but it's every situation is different for me, and
Right.
certain things take a
And you have to
little
overanalyze
longer.
every situation. Just answer my question quickly. Are you a forgiving
Yes or
person?
no, Nair? No.
Or medium? You can have the medium.
I'm medium with everything. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like
You are medium, yeah.
I feel like you're one spectrum and Claudia's another spectrum. Like
We sure are.
when we talk about different topics, and I'm usually somewhere in the middle because that's me. Like
That's just how you
I
do it.
honestly can see both sides, and when it comes to forgiving certain things, yeah, I'll forgive
And I think that makes it
easily.
very easy to forgive when you can see both sides.
Right, but certain things
It
take
takes
because remember,
time. It's a process.
forgiveness is the release of the anger and
You.
resentment.
Mhm.
Working through feelings is not easy. Maybe for you it is easy to work through feelings. That's why you can say you can forgive quickly, but it takes time for certain things for me to work through feelings. So maybe I'm not a quote unquote forgiving person. I do forgive,
Right.
and ultimately the end result for me will always be forgiveness. Always.
Cool.
But it
The
might take
process.
some time to get there for
Claude is like, it
certain
might take
things.
some decades, like 20 years.
16
Like this
years.
conversation just triggered
Well,
forgiveness from 20
it
years
takes
ago.
time.
Right?
So that
It's
wouldn't make you
me.
a forgiven person. To
Right.
me,
That's why I
even though
said,
you
like,
forgive, it wouldn't.
when I think of myself and characteristics of myself, the first thing that comes to mind for me, that's not one of the first things that comes to mind. Like, oh, I'm a very forgiving person. No, I'm a loving person. I'm a caring person. I'm a generous person.
I'm a
You
just
know,
person,
yes,
which,
I'm
you
an
know,
understanding person. But to say I'm a forgiving person, I will
Man.
get there, but I'm not.
Me and Nair is on the same boat. We'll get there.
you're a little bit more exaggerated, Claudia. To
Claudia's
a
a little,
No.
yeah.
decade,
I mean, I
two
feel her,
decades.
but yeah, that's a little much.